As members and family groups, we will engage in forms of political witness and action, prayerfully and thoughtfully. This is two bits where she does that. This wonderful windy spot is down on the banks of the Clyde. But behind me is the Transport Museum, and this is a place to remember all the people who left Glasgow and emigrated around the world. Also a time to remember that Glasgow was the second city of the empire, that its wealth and the great buildings we see round about us are those which have profited particularly from slavery and the slave trade. And Glasgow is a city that's still struggling to come to terms with that gaping wound in its history. If you go to Jamaica and open the phone book, you will see that the names in that phone book are Scottish names. They're MacLeods, they're MacDonalds. If you look at the memorial to the children killed in the early part of the 21st century in the violence that struck Jamaica as part of the drug wars and in the ghettos, you will see that the names of the children who died are Scottish names. And that's because the slaves had to take the names of their slave owners. This is a place where we should come to repent of our place in those structures of violence and slavery, and to remember that slavery and those structures of slavery still exist in the world today. To remember the people who've arrived in Glasgow through the dispersal scheme of asylum seekers who arrived by being trafficked here and smuggled here, some seeking safety and some discovering the only way to seek safety from where they fled from was to come in slavery, sometimes indentured labour, sometimes through the sex trade, and to remember that we are part of a structure that binds that together. This is a place for us to watch the river and to remember the death and destruction it has brought and our place within that. Helen Stephen, a member of the Iona community and great peace campaigner, says this about undoubtedly one of the lowest moments of my life was when HMS Vanguard, first of Britain's Trident submarines, arrived on the Clyde. Although we had known it was Welcome to the UK border. We've come to Cessnock, which is where many people have to come to report on a daily or weekly or monthly basis to say that they are still in the UK. And they come with pieces of paper to be stamped and have all their biometric data checked and then put in caged vans and taken to Dungavel Removal Centre. It's called Festival Court because the offices are built on the site of the Garden Festival, which happened in Glasgow around 20 years ago. It's a place where we can come and remember that God welcomes all. God welcomes all, strangers and friends. God's love is strong and it never ends. The gate at the end of the road has been the site of many a protest against the UK's unjust asylum laws, and also is a place surrounded by a forest of security cameras. It tells us something about the power of fear. Just round the corner from here is one of the most hopeful places for me in the whole of the city of Glasgow. It's a place where people have not been deterred by the unjust laws, but instead have created a place of welcome, a place of hospitality, and a place of resistance. The Unity Centre is like many of the small centres that stretch across Europe and across the United States and across Australia and across other places in the rich world, where we seek to offer welcome, sanctuary, refuge to those fleeing persecution. It's a place full of creativity, full of people who work with and alongside each other to learn about hospitality from each other. It's not a place of charity, of giving to or doing to those who might be in a less fortunate position than ourselves. It's a place of creating a new society, a new way of being together in this world. And here it is, just round the corner, a place of hope, so close to that place of fear. Just behind me is the charity shop Unity in the Community, and it's part of the work that the Unity Centre has been done in various ways over the years. They've had a bookshop called Nay Borders, they've had a bicycle repair shop and bicycle shop where asylum seekers have been able to pick up a bike so they can get around the city easily. But also there are certain mornings and afternoons when goods are free for asylum seekers.